And honestly, Ron, I think Taylor Swift is getting peeved. I genuinely believe she was not on Blake's side. It's why Travis Kelce clearly unfollowed Ryan on Instagram. There's been a lot of this drama. Why else would he have done such a thing? It's starting to fall in line, and I wonder if Taylor is going to start working with Justin Baldoni.
In Hollywood, perception is everything, and Blake Lively knows it. But subtle moves by Justin Baldoni and Taylor Swift revealed something deeper, quietly unraveling the polished image she wants you to believe.
Whenever an attorney writes something that is submitted and filed in federal court, they're basically doing it under penalty of perjury. So the judge can do one of two things. The judge can just make a determination that, you know what, there's a dispute as to facts. I'm going to let the deposition happen, but with certain rules, certain parameters that, you know, it doesn't go everywhere. There'll probably be a conference on this. With regards, because when it comes to third parties, right? Taylor Swift is not a plaintiff or defendant here, or cross, whatever. Judges tend to have some type of more want to protect their own time and privacy. Now, when you have allegations that there's witness tampering or deletion of text messages, which what we call spoliation of evidence, that is a red flag in the eyes of the court, because that takes away from getting to the truth and justice, which I don't know if I'm the one that always brings this up when I come into your show, Andy, but remember she made this claim, like, you know, what I do is protected, and, you know, there's this defense of whether or not it's done in bad faith. If there are text messages talking about suing Baldoni, motivations for suing Baldoni, or doing this initial civil rights complaint, that is directly relevant to Baldoni's defense to this California law that supposedly people initially thought, like, oh, that was a huge swing. So I believe the judge is going to be very concerned about these allegations. Will do one of two things: either make a ruling or ask for a conference and ask directly how the attorneys learn this. Now, do the attorneys have to reveal that? They may not have to under what's called the work product doctrine. So there's a lot of it involved. But you're right, man. This is a huge swing, and you would not do that unless you have something to support.
Blake Lively has long cultivated the image of a poised, picture-perfect celebrity. So, when she recently opened up about her behind-the-scenes struggles, fans quickly rallied to support her. In interviews and public statements, Blake painted a vivid picture of vulnerability, describing moments of discomfort, feeling unheard, and being pushed into situations without her full consent. Headlines soon amplified her story, framing her as a victim of a harsh, unfeeling industry. But when you look closer, not everything adds up. Blake spoke of being manipulated and placed in scenarios she hadn't agreed to. However, sources from within the production tell a different story, one in which she exercised significant creative control. Some even claim she was not just involved, but deeply embedded in shaping scenes, approving direction, and making key decisions herself. One insider noted that many moments she later described as uncomfortable were in fact crafted and refined by Blake personally. This version of events doesn't quite fit the helpless persona she's presented in public. Her statements, while strikingly personal, were also notably polished, mixing just the right amount of relatability and alleged mistreatment to evoke sympathy. To her fans, it looked like she was bravely standing up for herself. But behind the scenes, whispers began to circulate. Was this truly a raw, honest recounting of her experience, or a calculated attempt to deflect criticism? Several crew members pointed to times when Blake took the reins creatively, sometimes overriding directors or steering the tone of key scenes. These behaviors hint at a larger pattern, where she may have used the victim narrative as a shield, particularly when scrutiny started to focus on her own choices. By bringing her struggles to the forefront, Blake didn't just gain public empathy, she also redirected attention away from others, fellow cast members, crew, and collaborators who might remember those same moments very differently. Some even say scenes she later claimed made her feel unsafe were ones she had planned in detail. This has led to growing doubts. Were those expressions of discomfort truly spontaneous, or a strategic rewriting of history? As more industry voices step forward, with conflicting accounts, a different version of Blake emerges, far removed from the distressed figure in her interviews. While her stories captivated the public, they're beginning to falter under the weight of alternative perspectives. That's the thing about controlling a narrative. You can choose where it starts, but not where it ends. And perhaps the most revealing shift came when Justin Baldoni quietly distanced himself from her claims, marking the beginning of a very public unraveling. Just wait until you hear how it all really started.
Brian Friedman responded to this. This was a letter where they, it should be noted, this was anonymously sourced, and they're just abusing us again, and this is categorically false, blah, 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 blah. There's no evidence. Meanwhile, it's not signed by Gottlieb. It's not signed, I swear by, this is false. It was signed by Ezra Hudson, a different lawyer, not from that firm, which was odd to me. It was a big red flag. Well, if you're going to come out so fiercely and deny it, maybe get the lawyer who's being accused to deny it themselves. Well, Brian was quick to point that out. In his response this morning that just dropped hot off the presses, we write in response to this letter to strike our motion to ask the court to strike my letter. The letter was submitted in response to Miss Lively's consolidated defendant, Miss Reynolds, together defense, on purporting to inform the court of their request to intervene in an action pending before a different federal court relating to a motion of Taylor Swift's company, Venable, to quash the subpoena served on them by my office. The premise of the motion is that I made a deliberate and shameless misinterpretation to the court that the facts set forth in the May 14th letter are false and unfounded. That is not so. Attached here, too, as Exhibit 1, is an affidavit executed under penalty of perjury, stating the factual basis for the statements set forth in my letter. Notably, the motion is not signed by Michael Gottlieb. I noticed that too, Brian Friedman, whose conduct gave rise to my office's influence on a subpoena to Taylor Swift's company, but instead by another attorney from a different firm representing Lively. The motion also faults the May 14th letter for being filed without support of any kind, much less anything under oath. This opposition supplies the sworn affidavit that Lively argues the letter lacked. Finally, and most notably, the motion claims that the facts set forth in the 14th letter are unequivocally and demonstrably false. It is unsupported by any sworn declaration to that effect, much less for Mr. Gottlieb. So basically, he's like saying, well, okay, I just swore that this is all real. Let's hear it from you, Mr. Gottlieb. Gottlieb, sorry if I'm saying that wrong. The motion further contends that the letter was improper because it does not seek any form of relief, is irrelevant to any motion currently pending before the court, so there's no legitimate purpose. Of course, the same could be said at the Lively's May 13th letter, which Lively claims to have submitted as a courtesy, in which she did not ask the court to take any action. The Lively defense claim the subpoena served on Taylor Swift seeks the Lively defendant's attorney's communication, including those of Michael Gottlieb, with no explanation as to how they could be relevant in this litigation. Given that Miss Lively herself admits in the letter that she did not ask the court to take any action, nor could she, given that the motion to quash the subpoena is pending there before a separate court, yada, 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 it is apparent the letter filled with the court besmirching the Wayfarer parties and their counsel, our response was necessary. He's like, this is why I'm responding, because this is completely ridiculous. They're doing exactly what we're doing, which they are. This is all both of these parties. It's not just Justin's side. Blake's side is doing it too. They are both playing this in the press. And when Blake's team tries to play like, oh, we're better, we're not doing this, we're not making this a circus. Yeah, come on. Everybody in the industry is laughing at you, Blake and Ryan. You look ridiculous.
Justin Baldoni has unexpectedly become a central figure in the controversy surrounding Blake Lively's recent claims, but his handling of the situation has been anything but conventional. While most in the spotlight might rush to issue emotional interviews or strongly worded statements, Justin chose a different path: quiet composure and action over words. In Blake's version of events, Justin allegedly overstepped professional boundaries during key onset moments, casting him as part of the problem. Yet accounts from others involved in the same production paint a drastically different picture, where Blake suggested a chaotic, uncomfortable environment. Crew members and fellow castmates described Justin as the exact opposite: professional, communicative, and respectful at every turn. Multiple insiders have come forward to attest to Justin's character. One noted how he consistently asked for consent before even minor adjustments in a scene, always ensuring everyone felt safe and heard. His focus on mutual respect and clear communication stood in stark contrast to the image Blake painted of being silenced or overrun. What's even more telling is Justin's refusal to enter the public fray. While he never made dramatic rebuttals or chased headlines, his silence became a powerful counternarrative. In an industry that often rewards the loudest voice, Justin's restraint served as a quiet yet impactful response. It allowed the growing wave of support from those who had actually worked with him to carry the message, without a single public statement from him. One incident in particular highlights the sharp disconnect. Blake described a specific scene as emotionally overwhelming and poorly managed, but others present that day recalled Justin being the one who stepped in to ensure the scene was handled with full consent and care. From their perspective, his behavior exemplified leadership and empathy. Casting further doubt on Blake's portrayal of events, This emerging contrast didn't go unnoticed. Within the industry, Justin has long been recognized for his collaborative spirit and dedication to ethical filmmaking. Many began to question whether Blake's allegations were less about truth and more about narrative control, positioning herself as vulnerable while potentially misrepresenting those around her. Then there's Taylor Swift, whose involvement added a new layer to the story. She didn't speak out directly, but her subtle, deliberate actions seemed to shift public perception. Taylor's quiet distancing from Blake and what appeared to be silent support for Justin sent a message without words. In doing so, she reinforced the sense that there was more to the story than Blake was letting on. Together, Justin's silence and Taylor's precision became louder than any statement, pushing the spotlight back onto the cracks in Blake's version of events, and it was only the beginning.
Another, let's call it another notch, let's call it, on the belt with regards to Lively's team acting in bad faith with regards to discovery versus the faux or the pretend lawsuit to justify the production of text messages. That's first one, right? And now, like, what is this? Now there's this other thing of trying to suppress evidence, and that would be another huge piece of evidence that the judge can justifiably, if it's again appropriately put before the judge, going like, look at Lively's team, look at how they're acting. We want serious sanctions. We want evidentiary sanctions, maybe terminating sanctions for this misconduct with regards to discovery and trying to suppress evidence. This can have huge repercussions, which is probably, as I'm talking about it, I think the judge will want to have a conference and be like, listen, this is serious what you're alleging. I want to know how you found this out. I don't know if the judge is really entitled to it.
That's what I was going to ask. How do you figure this out? How would what? Is there now attorney-client privilege that they're going to try to claim? But then I guess Friedman at some point is going to want to reveal it. I mean, if he's heard the source, he will probably give up this source for the sake of the client, no?
There was probably already in Friedman's office, there was probably already a decision that if push comes to shove, they're willing to get a declaration from somebody in order to really put teeth on this request, right? Because the judge is like, listen, if you really want this, if you really want me, the judge, to go on your side, Baldoni's team, Friedman, you have to give me something other than, I just think this. And if you get a declaration from somebody, either a mole in Taylor Swift's camp or a communication that was from Baldoni and Baldoni to Friedman, they've probably already made the determination they're going to share that with the judge in what we call, at least what we call, the Latin word is in camera, which is in the judge's chambers, and something only the judge can see to protect some type of work product, to satisfy the judge's need to be like, listen, this is a pretty big allegation. You have to support it somehow, other than I just have to take your word for it before I let you have a shot at examining Taylor Swift directly.
And there's no version where Blake can then blame this Michael guy. Like, well, they were acting without my interest. I mean, they are the attorneys for Blake. Is that something that she can then claim? Well, I didn't know they were doing this.
She can claim it. Whether or not it's believable or has any effect is another thing, because this is her. These are her agents, right? These are agents right. In the sense of. It reminds me of Johnny
Depp. Blake did win one count because of what Adam Waldman said, which was Johnny's attorney, which they then deemed, well, that was Johnny's fault, even though it wasn't. But that would prove here too, as well, right? They are representatives.
They're representatives, and this is something else where Lively is on the ropes reacting to something that is so devastating, right? She had to react to the faux lawsuit in New York State. Now she has to react to this. And the more you explain, the more you're losing, the more complicated it is. Like, yeah, this may have happened, or I have to blame my attorneys, or I have to blame this. It falls flat with regards to the overall narrative. But the judge is going to take this really, really seriously, and really may put Friedman's team like, listen, you've put this down in writing. Now I want to know why it is that what's the basis for this really big allegation? It's a huge allegation, especially, I mean, even with not the stakes and the national attention or international attention, the stakes are so high. I think the judge is going to be very, very focused and want to do the right thing, but do it in a very transparent way before making a final decision, which will, I think, require telling Friedman, you need to make a showing, a factual evidentiary showing of how it is you even come to this conclusion before I allow you to take Taylor Swift's deposition. because it's not a normal thing. It's not like, we all had drinks together. Taylor's like, yeah, we had drinks together. This is communications that no one but the two of them would have